Hi, and welcome to another episode of Build a Book to Build Your Business. This is how you can really build your brand. I'm Sigrid Cast from Sticky Beak Marketing, and I have with me right here Anne Andrews from New Zealand. Anne is an author, speaker, profiler, and creator of the Corporate Toolbox. Now, Anne and I met through the Corporate Toolbox quite some time ago, Anne, right?
Yes, quite a few years ago, for sure.
Yeah, time flies, doesn't it, when you're having fun? So Anne is the author of 6 hard copy books. So she really is prolific in writing. She is now semi-retired, but you are certainly writing. That's a big part of your almost daily routine, Anne.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think I will ever retire. I would go mad.
Yeah.
So basically, I write every day. I have a regular newsletter that I send out to my database, but it's got to be something that's obviously of interest, but it's also based on the work that I've always done, which is HR. Anything to do with teams, managing change, leadership issues, all of those kind of HR topics. So each week I do a newsletter, and it just depends what's going on in the world. I'll always link it to something that's going on in the world. And then I just see what response I get. If I get no response, then I know that that's of no interest. If I get lots of response, then I know that then I can write a little bit more about that. So basically, I'm just testing the market.
And that's a very important component from my perspective with marketing, which you know plenty about as well in what you do, and particularly from the business that you've had. Marketing is the big thing behind everything, isn't it? You need that for whatever you do. So really good. And I love how you are testing and also writing on the current, topics that are out there. And I think that filters generally into writing books. Your latest book is all about leaders behaving badly, something we are seeing right now the world over in many countries. And I think you've really tucked into that subject for a particular leader, but it does apply to quite a few other countries as well, doesn't it?
Well, I hadn't written for a long time. Some of my books are now about 20 years old. And because I was busy, consulting, I hadn't really done a great deal of serious writing. I used to do my newsletter because that's still important to keep in touch with people. But it was when Donald Trump obviously got the presidency that things for me just went bananas, basically. Because one of the biggest problems when I used to be working with teams was bullying. And this massive problem globally of online bullying. And of course now we've got this man who openly trashes people. So that started me. So I thought, okay, it started off as an article, but I couldn't stop writing. So I found a publisher and I said, look, I'm writing this book about Donald Trump. And he went, oh, I don't know. I don't know about that.
That's a hot topic, hey?
He said, I don't know. If you want to get sued, keep writing. Yes. So anyway, I just thought I've got to keep writing. And as I say, I wrote it really as a series of articles. And it turned into 50 ways not to fall into the Trump trap is what I called it. So that went out. But of course, the publisher kept saying to me, when is it going to be finished? And I said, oh, well, I'm nearly there. But of course, then he'd go and do something worse and I'd have another chapter to write. So in the end, I finished the book by saying to be continued.
Yeah. And you are writing articles on that too, aren't you? On what comes up there, current topics that are, popping up.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Come back to the people that are watching this. If you're in a small business, I did start off to be a writer, not in any way, shape, or form. But I'd been working as an in-house HR manager, and I had done something quite unusual. I'd set up a thing called self-managing teams, which I won't even go into. But I was doing a diploma in business, and the professor or the tutor said, I love what you're doing. Would you do a presentation to the rest of the HR people on the course? which totally freaked me out because I'd never done any public speaking.
Right.
I went, yes, I will do that. So I stood up and did this presentation on what we'd done. And somebody in the group, there were about 80 people on the course, said, would you do that presentation at our next conference? And so suddenly a speaking career was born. And this is what will happen to your people, you know, people who set off in a business. They might be in BNI or they might be in a business group, and somebody might say, would you like to talk about that? So to my mind, in business, you've got to be able to combine the two. You've got to be able to combine your business with speaking about it, but also building a database and writing a regular newsletter to keep people in touch with what you're doing. So really, it all started from that.
That's a great point, Anne, and I'm really joyous that you're saying that, because often that is a big component that people don't think about when they just jump in there and they write a book. They don't think about creating a database. That's the lifeblood of every business, isn't it? Even though you are semi-retired, you successfully sold your business, you have a list and you can continue with that list. That is the gold of every business.
And that's also what I want to say to your listeners, because what I do is, if somebody says, would you like to do a presentation? I will always say, yes, of course I will. But I always make sure I have a giveaway. And the very best giveaway is a book. Now, just also to come back to people, you don't need to write a full book. In fact, I always suggest don't write a full book. People who spent 3 or 4 years writing a book that nobody wants to read. Don't do that. Waste of
Yes,
time.
that's right. So there's a couple of ways that you can kind of not do that, but people do that, and you're absolutely correct. So
it comes back to test your market.
Yes.
If you and as I said, one of the things I'll say at the end is, if you come over to my website or email me, I think I've given you my email address. I dusted off because years ago, because I became a speaker, and because then I would speak at conferences, and I was also a member of a speaking organization, one of the things that we used to be asked to do was to teach the new people coming through how to speak, or in my case, how to write. And so I'd been asked to do a workshop on writing an ebook in the early days when ebooks were first coming out. And so I knocked together a workshop and a book called How to Write an Ebook in 5 Days. It's that easy. It is that simple.
Yeah.
However, I went back into my archives to find this book, because I said that was probably about 10 years ago. And I've managed to lose the file. However, I've got the next phase of that, which was how to leverage an ebook.
That's great.
Because you don't have to keep writing if you don't like writing. You only need one.
Yes, yes.
And my suggestion is always make it about your topic, whatever it is. 15 ways to get a new client, or 15 ways to, or 10 ways to, build a brand, or whatever it is, like you've got at the back, series of how to build your business. So, I've got this, I've brought it up to date for people to do that, because writing isn't everybody's cup of tea. I could write all day. I love it. But a lot of people say, I can't write. I say, yes, you can. Everybody can. And come back to, just as I ran the workshop about writing the ebooks, that came from me going to a presentation by a man who had about 50 books, who said, every one of you has a book in them. Yeah. At that point, I hadn't written anything. And I'm thinking, I don't think so. I really don't. But I came away and thought, okay, if I did have a book, what would it be about? And about teams. So all I did was, and this is what I'm saying to your listeners, write down 10 things you know about your topic. There's your ebook. Straight away, 10 things. So that's your chapter headings, and write a page about each thing. There's your book.
That's brilliant, isn't it? That is so quick and easy to do. That is what we use in the program that I have. We use exactly that to get that skeleton layout of your book in place. Because once you have those chapter headings, which are what I use is questions that, you know, that your audience will ask you, because that makes it powerful. People asking those questions, and they want to have the answers, and you're giving them the answers in your book. It's such a powerful, straightforward way.
Very easy. And also, you come back to, so if one of your people is doing a presentation on their topic, then my greatest tip to give anybody is to say, okay, if you would like a copy of this presentation or this book, put your business card in the basket and I will send it to you. That's your database started.
That is, you know, it's so easy, and people just don't often don't think about that. From my perspective, and let me just acknowledge that story about how you started off with writing when somebody said everyone has a book in them. That's wonderful, because it's true. You do, we do. What happens though, I have discovered with authors, they do start writing, but they haven't got a plan. Like, they're not thinking. You've just given that plan. We use that plan. What are the questions people ask? You know, what are 10 things about what you do that people want to know? That is minimalistic. The first thing to do, that put your skeleton of your book together. And often people don't do that. They just start writing, and by the end of it, like you said, it's not going to sell. It hasn't got that audience.
4 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. A book that nobody wants to read, or is out of date. But also come back to the database.
Yeah.
Thing. My database is about 1,000, which is not massive. It's what I call my secret stash. All of those people on that database came from me presenting. A presentation, I would say, if you would like a copy of my book, or if you would like to go into a drawer, put your business card in there. I would bring those cards back, and the next day I would put them in my database, and I would contact each person and say, it was lovely to meet you yesterday. Don't forget, get a copy of my whatever. Now, those people haven't opted in, if people understand what that means.
Yes.
They haven't actually given me permission. But because they've met me, it's what I call a warm lead.
It is. And they are connected to you. They've met you. You know, it's that first step, getting to know you. So they got to know you, and it makes it that much easier, both for bringing them into that pass, into that list, and also that is a very responsive list. It doesn't have to be a massive list. When it's a responsive list, when they respond to what you send them, when you ask them to look at things or buy things or something like that, isn't it? That's huge. Yeah.
You know, that's because teaching people who are starting off in business isn't so much different from teaching people who are starting off to be speakers. They've got a passion, and they want to get it out to the world, but they don't know how to do it. And they kind of come along and think, well, I've got this product and the whole world is going to want it.
Yeah.
Maybe they will, but how will they find you? How will you know about it? Yeah,
that's a big component of it. It's an illusion out there, because we are in social media, and that term, it goes viral, has become so well known. Everybody thinks, oh, when I write something, it'll go viral because it's, you know, something important. That's not the case. You need to build that marketing path from the start when you are thinking about, and that component you are highlighting, and that is such an important component to build that database. It's all very well to want to make money by selling one book at a time, but the value is in that list. It's not in the sale, it's in the list, and having the contact details of that person. That's brilliant. You've given so many tips already. You are sharing so freely. Thank you. And I do want to know from you a frustration. Did you have anything really frustrating on that path? You talked earlier about having given your book to a publisher. You don't do the self-publishing. You have your books published. Did I get that correct?
I've got a mixture. I've got a mixture. I'm not sure whether you'll be able to see them there. I'll just pick those up.
You pick it up, hold it in front of the camera, and I think we'll be able to see it.
The first two books I wrote, I self-published.
Uh-huh.
Now, the beauty of self-publishing is you have 100% control.
Yes.
The downside is getting it to market.
Yeah.
So the third book I was writing was about recruitment, and I contacted a company, a publishing company, to say, are you interested in this book? I'm writing about recruitment, which is a really boring topic. But of course, if anybody's recruited people and got the wrong person, you'll wish you'd read the book on recruitment. Yeah. So this is the book. Can you see?
Yes, I can. Yes, great. Did I really employ you? I love it.
You. So I took that along, and they said, oh no, we love the book and we love the content, but we really hate your cover. I went, oh, okay. It's just that all of my books have got cartoons on the front. That's my brand. And they went, we don't really care about your brand. We care about our brand. Yeah. And this is what they did with it.
All right. Okay.
I hate. It's
yeah.
hard, but they sold 5,000 copies of it. They took it to the German book fair.
Yeah.
A UK company bought the rights to it, and they sold 10,000 copies of an even uglier book.
Yeah, that's hard to see on that background color, isn't it?
Yes.
Nothing on there to stand out.
So I would be lucky if I sold 1,000 of those. I give them away now,
Yeah.
I do more.
Yeah.
Whatever. So that's what I want to say to people who are going to write a book. Yes, self-publish by all means, because it means it's your book and you can do whatever you want with it, but prepare for the fact that you may not sell very many of them. But if you get a publisher, they will do it their way, and you've got to let them.
You have to. So, and my take on that is that's a brilliant point what you've just shared there, and it's a frustration certainly that people would experience opting for the publisher option. My take on that is the book that you've created with your own cover for your brand. I love it. Here's why I love it. To me, when I work with business owners, the focus is not on selling the book. If we sell 1, 2, 3 books, you have, I don't know, $30, $60, $90. That's nothing. Even if you sell 1,000 or 10,000, you still have only small amounts that add up. What you can do is, though, and I have examples of that, you use the book like you talked about with the database, you're giving it away, but you can give away to create that authority. I am the author of, and you do that in a specific way. You can get projects on board that are worth tens of thousands of dollars, just one project, for coaching, for your training, for your speaking, I'm sure. Would you agree?
Also, come back to, so that's the book that I think they sold about 10,000 copies, which I think I get about $2, whatever.
Yeah.
I spoke at a Rotary one time about, it was something to do with teams, and I always have outrageous titles. I'll come back to titles shortly.
Yeah.
I got a $90,000 contract out of that.
Oh, there you go. That's exactly what I'm saying. Congratulations.
Great to give your book away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I like to put the focus on with authors that come to me and go through the program that I do. It's not the sales of the book itself. It's what that book can do to you, what that book can introduce you to other sales. $90,000, and that's brilliant. That's one.
The doors that it will open.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's brilliant. So let's just do a quick summary on that. So you have the frustration is to balancing the publishing between self-publishing or going to a publisher. Each person needs to kind of consider that for themselves, is what I heard you say. Sorry, go on.
It really comes back to why are you writing the book?
Yes.
If you're wanting it to build your business, don't worry about going to a publisher. do it yourself.
Yeah.
It's not an expensive process.
No, you have all control and everything over it. Mm.
You're doing it to open the doors for your business, self-publish. If you're wanting to become an author, then try to go, obviously try to get a publisher.
Mm.
I am trying to get a publisher for my latest book, Leaders Behaving Badly.
Yeah.
Now I've had about 5 declines, which breaks your heart.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And that's traditionally been the way. You only had that option of sending your manuscript to publishers, and they'd reject and reject and reject. And that's very heartbreaking for a promising a person wanting to go into the authorship, becoming that author. So the self-publishing certainly gives you that boost alone by saying, I have got my own book.
Yeah, well, as I say, it comes back to what you're writing the book for. If it comes back to all of those books I've written previously were to get work.
Yeah.
Database. I'm now semi-retired and I want to become a full-time author. So it's a very different proposition. Yeah. So
I love it. Yeah. I love it. That's great. And you have given freely your knowledge here. You've shared so many tips. I love the way you've also shown us, by example, that there can be these pitfalls and what to look out for. Absolutely brilliant. I want to keep it relevant, and so people listen to this. This is brilliant to have this information. What would be your parting thought, tip that you'd like to share with the listeners?
Okay, well, it comes down to one of the things I've said is if people email me, I will give them the book, How to Leverage an Ebook, which kind of is a summary of all the things I've just talked about. So that this is for when you're wanting to use your book or your articles to grow your business, not the authorship side. This is purely the growing your business through writing.
That's fantastic. So what we're doing is, with the publishing of this video, when this goes live, we will put your email address with that, if that is okay with you, so people can contact you direct for getting that valuable resource for themselves. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and sharing your tips and your knowledge and all of that expertise and experience that you've had. Thank you, Anne.
Very welcome, Sigrid. Very welcome.